Hi everyone, welcome to this new showcase of Celare Fortnite External Slotted. Since the last showcase, a lot has changed, so I decided to make a new one to give you an updated overview of the interface and its functionality. Some parts of this video will be familiar, as they are carried over from the previous showcase. However, many features have been added, improved, or updated since then. So, let's get started. First, let's take a look at the Aimbot tab. This checkbox, called Enabled, acts as the master switch for this tab. When it's turned off, none of the features in this tab will work. You'll find the same Enabled checkbox in the other tabs as well, where it serves the same purpose. Here, we have Draw FOV. When enabled, it draws an Aimbot FOV circle in the center of the screen. It's only shown while you're holding an eligible weapon. You can adjust the colors, thickness, outline thickness, and outline color to match your preferences. Next, we have Draw Target Line. When enabled, it draws a line from the center of the screen to the current target. Just like the previous feature, it offers several customization options. Next, we have Prediction. When enabled, it predicts the target's future position based on movement, gravity, and projectile travel time, making it easier to hit moving targets with sniper rifles. Here is an example in action. Next, we have Hard Lock. When enabled, the aimbot will ignore its FOV restrictions while targeting. Next, we have Visibility Check. When enabled, this feature applies visibility-based filtering before targeting. Next, we have Ignore Knocked. When enabled, the aimbot will exclude knocked players. Next, we have Apply Target Rules. When enabled, the aimbot applies the rules configured in the player list. You can choose to ignore friends or prioritize blacklisted players. Next, we have Activation Key. When set, this becomes the default key used to activate the aimbot. You can right-click it and choose between hold and toggle modes. Next, we have Humanization. This option adjusts the feature's behavior to appear more natural and less mechanical. It includes customization options such as randomization percentage and reaction time. Here is an example in action. Next, we have Close Aim. When enabled, this feature overrides the aimbot's behavior when an enemy is close to you. It includes customization options such as Disable Humanization, Max Distance, FOV, Smoothness, and hitboxes for the override. Here is an example in action. Next, we have FOV. This slider defines the size of the aimbot's field of view restrictions. Next, we have Smoothness. This slider defines how smoothly the aimbot moves toward the target. Here is an example with humanization enabled. Here is an example with humanization disabled. Next, we have Hitboxes. This selection box allows you to choose which hitboxes will be targeted. You can select multiple hitboxes. Here is an example in action. You can configure different settings for each weapon by overriding each one individually. Let me set up a configuration here. Let's see how it turned out. Now let's move on to the TriggerBot tab. Here we have the Enabled Master Switch. Next, we have Ignore Knocked. When enabled, the TriggerBot will exclude knocked players. Next, we have Apply Target Rules. When enabled, the TriggerBot applies the rules configured in the player list. The only available option is to ignore friends. Next, we have Activation Key. When set, this becomes the default key used to activate the TriggerBot. Next, we have Shoot Key. When set, this becomes the key the TriggerBot uses to shoot. Next, we have Disabled. When enabled, it disables the general configuration, allowing you to enable it only for specific weapons. Next, we have Shooting Delay. This slider defines the delay between shots. Next, we have Delay Randomization. This slider defines the randomization percentage of the shooting delay. Next, we have Max Distance. This slider defines the TriggerBot's maximum activation distance. You can configure different settings for each weapon by overriding each one individually. Let me set up a configuration here. Let's see how it turned out. Now let's move on to the Visuals tab. First, we have the Enemy sub-tab. Here we have the Enabled Master Switch. Next, we have Name. When enabled, it displays the player's name. It does not work for bots or NPCs. You can customize the position, color type, outline, and colors. Next, we have Box. When enabled, it displays a box around the player. Just like the previous feature, it offers several customization options. Next, we have Skeleton. When enabled, it displays the player's character skeleton. Just like the previous feature, it offers several customization options. Next, we have Platform. When enabled, it displays the player's platform. It does not work for bots or NPCs. Just like the previous feature, it offers several customization options. Next, we have Team ID. When enabled, it displays the player's team ID. Just like the previous feature, it offers several customization options. Next, we have Current Weapon. When enabled, it displays the weapon currently held by the player. Just like the previous feature, it offers several customization options. Next, we have Kill Count. When enabled, it displays the player's kill count. Just like the previous feature, it offers several customization options. Next, we have Rank. When enabled, it displays the player's current rank. It does not work for bots, NPCs, or in non-ranked matches. Just like the previous feature, it offers several customization options. Next, we have Distance. When enabled, it displays the distance between you and the player in meters. Just like the previous feature, it offers several customization options. Next, we have Snapline. When enabled, it draws a line from the bottom of the screen to the player. Just like the previous feature, it offers several customization options. Next, we have Off-Screen Arrow. When enabled, it displays directional arrows for players who are outside your field of view. Just like the previous feature, it offers several customization options. Next, we have Rule Status. When enabled, it displays the rules applied to each player based on the player list. Just like the previous feature, it offers several customization options. Here, we have Dynamic Colors, which are used for different player states such as visible, hidden, and knocked. Now let's move on to the World sub-tab. Here we have the Enabled Master Switch. Next, we have Pickup. When enabled, it displays loot. Here is an example. You can customize options such as color type, outline, distance, filters, and colors. Next, we have Chest. When enabled, it displays all chests. Here is an example. Just like the previous feature, it offers several customization options. Next, we have Ammo Box. When enabled, it displays all ammo boxes. Here is an example. Just like the previous feature, it offers several customization options. Next, we have Vehicle. When enabled, it displays all vehicles. Here is an example. Just like the previous feature, it offers several customization options. Next, we have Healing. When enabled, it displays all healing structures. Here is an example. Just like the previous feature, it offers several customization options. Next, we have Show and Hide key. When set, it allows you to toggle the world visuals on and off. You can right-click it and choose between hold and toggle modes. Next, we have Max Distance. This slider defines the maximum distance in meters at which world objects are rendered. Now, let's move on to the Radar sub-tab. Here we have the Enabled Master Switch. Next, we have Circular Radar. When enabled, it changes the default radar shape from square to circular. Next, we have Clamp Positions. When enabled, it keeps players at the edge of the radar when they are outside the radar range. Here is an example in action. Next, we have No Rotate. When enabled, the radar no longer rotates with the player, making the player's view independent. Next, we have Ignore Knocked. When enabled, the radar will not display knocked players. Next, we have Self-Indicator. Here, we have Static FOV. When enabled, it makes the player's field of view static instead of being based on the player's FOV. Here is an example. It also includes other customization options, such as the local player's size and colors. Next, we have Enemy Options. This section includes several customization options related to enemies, such as color type, distance, outline, enemy shape, size, and colors. Next, we have Enlarge key. When set, it works as a radar zoom key. You can right-click it and choose between hold and toggle modes. You can also configure the zoom amount and the size applied. Next, we have Show and Hide key. When set, it works as a toggle to enable or disable the radar. You can right-click it and choose between hold and toggle modes. Next, we have Size. This slider defines the default radar size. Next, we have Min Distance. This slider defines the minimum distance shown on the radar. Next, we have Max Distance. This slider defines the maximum distance shown on the radar. Here, we have the radar colors and dynamic colors. Now let's move on to the Spectator List subtab. Here, we have the Enabled Master Switch. Next, we have Ignore Teammates. When enabled, it will not display teammates. Next, we have Hide Bots. When enabled, it will not display bots. I also forgot to mention that each component can be freely moved while the menu is open. Next, we have Show and Hide Key. When set, it works as a toggle to enable or disable the spectator list. You can right-click it and choose between hold and toggle modes. Here, we have the spectator list colors. Now let's move on to the Player List tab. Here we have the player list from the match. From here, you can choose to view the Fortnite tracker, add players to your friends list, or add them to the blacklist. Below, we have the friends and blacklist lists. Here is an example of how it works. Now let's move on to the Exploits tab. Here we have the Enabled Master Switch. Next, we have TP to nearest player. Here we have Ignore Knocked. It is used to ignore knocked players when teleporting. Next, we have Activation Key. It works as the activation key for teleport. You can right-click it and choose between hold and toggle modes. Here is an example in action. This tab will probably have more features added in the future, and when they are added, I'll make a specific video covering them. Now let's move on to the MISC tab. First, we have the General subtab. Here we have Watermark. When enabled, it displays the watermark at the top left of the screen. It is enabled by default. You can customize it with options such as Windows Mode, Info, and Color. Next, we have Keybinds. When enabled, it displays all configured keybinds. Just like the previous feature, it offers several customization options. Next, we have Crosshair. When enabled, it displays a crosshair in the center of the screen. Just like the previous feature, it offers several customization options. Next, we have Draw Cursor. When enabled, it displays a cursor on the screen. Just like the previous feature, it offers several customization options. Next, we have Visuals Font. Here, you can change the font used by the visuals and adjust its size. Here is an example in action. Next, we have Unload Key. This keybind is used to close the application, just like the Unload button below. Now let's move on to the Menu subtab. Here we have Open and Close Key. It works as the keybind to open and close the menu. Next, we have the menu theme. Here, you can choose between dark and light modes. Next, we have Menu Font. Here, you can change the menu font and adjust its size. Next, we have Highlight Color. This is the accent color used for the menu. Now let's move on to the Settings tab. First, we have the General subtab. Here, we have the Config Directory button. It displays the config directory. Next, we have the list of configs from the directory. Next, we have the config name input. buttons to save, load, reset, and delete configs. Now, let's move on to the Bind subtab. Here, we have all the bind shortcuts, allowing you to choose them directly from here. And that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the showcase. Feel free to leave any feedback or suggestions. See you next time.